Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for the warm introduction. Happy I can do the talk about customers day after tomorrow. But I have to warn you first before we start. I'm probably the only non-technologically guy here on the stage. I'm more like a customer guy. I'm sorry for that. My entire career, I've done research on how customer behavior is changing due to technology and how to translate that into inspiration for companies. But I think all of you agree with me that we're like at the end of a phase. I mean, phase 2 of digital is finished. The idea of mobile and social, we've been there, and we're moving into this world of AI first. And the truth is that we're all very excited about that, but most of my clients where I work with, they're like in between fear and excitement when we talk about AI. And one of their big concerns is how they can make that switch from a mobile-first philosophy to an AI-first philosophy. And making that switch is extremely difficult for many companies. And my concern is always, and especially on events like these, that people go home and that we get overexcited about technology and that we forget that at the end of the day, the question is how do we create value for customers and how can we create new kinds of values for customers. This here is my favorite quote of Larry Page. He says, guys, how is it possible? I mean, we have SpaceX in this world, and they're launching rockets, and then they're releasing satellites, and then that rocket comes back to Earth, and it basically lands on a floating device in the middle of the ocean. We can do this as humans, and all the crazy stuff we've seen here today, but making a toaster that does not burn toast seems to be incredibly hard in this world. And make no mistake, today we have something that they call a smart toaster. And you know what this thing does? It sends you a text message when your toast is ready, in case you have forgotten what you've done with that piece of bread in those 30 seconds. And then you get a text message, oh, thank God it was in the toaster. So I remember now. But still burn toast. This, my friends, is a fantastic example of what we call the Internet of Stupid Things. We make it because we technologically can, but there is no customer in the world that is actually waiting for a smart toaster. I love this quote. But the truth is, for many companies, competing in this AI-first world is becoming extremely, extremely difficult and more complex. The way that we compete is changing. Think about retail. You know, in the past, if you were a retailer, life was easy. They said, you know what? You have to excel in one thing. Be the best in service, or be the cheapest one, or have the best store experience. This is how you can win. 110 and all the others can be a 6. That is okay. Well, that doesn't work anymore because that bar of customer expectations did like this, bam, all the way up. So if you want to win today, this is how you compete in retail and in many other businesses, which explains why it's so hard for many companies because they need a lot more resources than ever before. Today, you cannot win by excelling in one thing. You need to be good in everything. And this is completely thanks to the big technology companies in the world. This is because of the Amazons and the Booking.coms. You know, their offering is endless. Their price is really competitive. Location has become irrelevant, and service is above average. So for me and for people in marketing, this is really shocking because it's the end of this old marketing principle that we used to call the USP, the unique selling proposition. Discovering this one thing that makes you unique. Today, you need to be good in everything. So this, in my opinion, this could be the big paradox in phase 3 of digital, the AI-first world, that for businesses, life is becoming more and more complex. And at the same time, for us, customers, life should be easier than ever before. Just think about this, very simple question. If you think about yourself or customers in the world in general, in my opinion, it doesn't matter which market they're in, which region in the world. I think there's one thing that every customer has in common. What is the scarcest resource that customers have these days? I think it's time. It's time. And the question is, how laser-focused are you on saving out time of your customers? And today, the great thing is that thanks to new technologies, we can actually create new values that really matter to customers. We can create faster than real-time services, where you anticipate to problems. You solve a problem before a customer really knows that there is a problem. A world of hyper-personalization and a world of the most convenient interfaces the world has ever seen. The only challenges for incumbents and non-technology companies is that the kings of the world and understanding those values and how to create them are, of course, the super technology powers in this world. That's the challenge. But the good news is that many companies that I meet, let's say more traditional companies, companies that have been around for decades, are starting to play with this and are starting to understand this. One of my favorite examples is McDonald's. Maybe a strange example on a conference like this one, but if you look at McDonald's, I mean, they've been around for 50 years now, and they've been successful by doing the exact same thing 50 years in a row all over the world. And now they're going through the biggest transformation of their history. You've probably seen the system with the kiosks. May seem like something small to you guys, but I can tell you for them, this was the biggest transformation in their entire history. And it's a huge success, but it requires different processes, different resources, different kind of people, and so on. But this is step one. McDonald's is now dreaming about hyper-personalization. That imagine that you buy a Big Mac here in Toulouse, and you ask one without cheese because you don't like cheese. And next week you're in Copenhagen, well, then their dream is that that restaurant in Copenhagen will recognize you and know that you don't like cheese so that it becomes more convenient. Think about McDonald's and e-commerce. 4 years ago, it was like unthinkable that McDonald's would move into e-commerce. And then in 2016, 2 years ago, they did a small test. They tried out e-commerce. I don't know if you can read this, but the test resulted in $1 billion in additional sales. Now, I don't know how the management of your company would react to that, but at McDonald's they said, yeah, that's a good test. We can continue with that. So they rolled out Mac delivery as fast as they could in an extremely smart way. The logistics are done by Uber Eats, and they're focusing on their core competence. But it's a huge hit, and it's being paid off, and it's being rewarded by the financial markets. And the secret of success for me is not the technology, but the fact that they've got their eye on creating new values for customers. Technology is not the guiding star in this process. The customer is the guiding star. And this is my invitation to all companies where I go to and where I speak for, is to dare to dream about the best possible experience and reverse engineer it back to today and start piloting. You know, on a conference like this, it's beautiful. We're getting presentations about the day after tomorrow. All talks that I've seen so far are brilliant ideas about the day after tomorrow. Most companies are working on today's issues, and some of them are working on the shit of yesterday issues even. My invitation is to invite them to dare to dream about the topics that we guys are talking about today, but reverse engineer it and start piloting those new ideas to create their future on their own, like McDonald's is trying to do. And to invest in that day after tomorrow. And eventually, it's pretty easy to see in which direction it's going. It's going into creating new values that eventually end in a world that is zero effort for customers. And I think that convenience is not, or loyalty is not created through branding anymore, but loyalty is created through convenience. If I would, who is using Booking.com here in the room? Who's using Booking.com? Okay, all of you. If I would ask you to shout out things that you like, I'm sure you would say it's easy, it's fast, there's no prepayment, cancellation is very easy, they got personalization, and so on and so on. But is there anyone in this room who is a huge fan of the brand Booking.com? Can you raise your hand if you're a real fan of the company and the brand? There's no one left. Which means that if tomorrow we have an alternative that's cheaper and faster, would you switch? Yeah. We don't care about the brand, we care about the interface. Convenience is driving our loyalty, not the brand. And for a lot of companies, this is a total flip in their mentality and in the way that they go to market with their products. And what you see is that we're getting some new competitive dynamics because of this. And we all know that you're not competing in a market anymore, you're competing for a market. And this is completely thanks to the idea of big companies on the east and the west of us. But it sometimes feels like it's unfair to, let's say, normal companies. They feel like there are two levels, the A level with a handful of strong technology companies, and then all the others. And a crucial question in most boardrooms today is, how do we compete on that B level? It's almost like a devil's dilemma. What are we going to do? Are we going to do a full-force fight back, like Netflix and Disney are doing right now? Disney is trying to fight back against Netflix. Are we going to go for our own relationship? Or are we going to work together with those technology companies? It's a devil's dilemma. Most companies dream about keeping their own brand relationship and customer relationship strong. Question is, how do you do that? I'm convinced that any company will have to copy-paste some of the ideas of the technology giants. And it won't be a surprise if I say that it all begins with being as obsessed in convenience as those technology companies. It's like the bottom of the pyramid. If you don't invest in that, you may as well go home directly. I hope we have some people here who invested in these companies, in Amazon, Google, Facebook, Apple. It makes you feel a little bit more relaxed when you're sitting here on a conference like this. But what I really hope is that we have someone who invested in this company that outperformed Google like 200 times on the stock market in the last decade. It's almost impossible to guess which company this is. It's Dominos Pizza. Is there anyone in this room who invested in Dominos Pizza 10 years ago? Please identify yourself. No one. You never meet them. They don't come to these kind of conferences anymore, is my assumption at this point. But it's crazy because no one really likes Domino's Pizza. No one really thinks they have good pizza. But they outperformed the market like crazy. And why? For me, it's very simple. It's based upon this old joke that you all know. You know this story, right? When you're walking with your best friend in the jungle, and suddenly a lion appears, you know what you need to do, right? You need to be faster than your friend. That's the most, you don't need to be faster than the lion, you just need to be faster than your friend. That's crucial. Well, Domino's Pizza is applying that strategy to survive. They want to be better than the other pizza companies. And their strategy is very simple. Let's be more easy to use, let's be faster, and let's be more fun. And let's shamelessly copy-paste the Amazons of this world. Amazon has the dash button. Well, Domino's Pizza has the push for pizza button. You just push, and 20 minutes later, you got your favorite pizza delivered right at your doorstep. The zero-click app. That is the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. You just open the app, you don't do anything, and 20 minutes later, they deliver your favorite pizza. Not a good pizza, but it's fast, easy, and fun, and apparently that's what people want. So we need to move into this. This is one thing we need to copy-paste, like the convenience. Second thing that we need to copy-paste from technology companies is being good at marketing to machines. The more algorithm-based buying that we're going to have, thanks to voice assistants like Alexa or Google Home, the more machines are going to be part of the audience. The more I outsource decisions, buying decisions to a machine, the more important marketing to machines will become. I don't think it's going to be business to business or business to consumer in the past. It's going to be business to humans and business to machines. This is what we need to copy-paste shamelessly from the Amazons and the Alibabas of this world. But we need to add something on top of that. As a traditional company, if you want to fight back, you want to look for strengths that you have and that those technology companies don't have. And then it's a matter of identifying them and leveraging them. And I try to summarize it here. I believe every company has to be really good in digital, but non-technology companies can add things to that those technology companies cannot. Being really good in the human interaction, the human touch. I'm an economist, and there's this old economic law of scarcity that says when something becomes scarce, it increases in value. Well, the human-to-human relationship is becoming scarce in the business world. Because of that, it's increasing in value. So you can use that. And the local aspect as well. And, you know, we're at some sort of a turning point. If you look at the perception, it's changing towards some of the big Silicon Valley companies. We had all the things going on with Facebook and Cambridge Analytica this week again with the Facebook hack and the fact that they blocked the messages about that. We had GDPR. There's a lot of things going on. And I think those technology companies have been focused on one thing in the last few years, which is world dominance. And they've done a really great job. They created world dominance. But I think if they want to be successful in the next decade, next to world dominance, they will have to try to become trusted gatekeepers. I mean, we use Facebook, but we will only continue to use it if we can trust it and that the information that they provide us is trustworthy. They have to become a trusted gatekeeper. If we are all using the product filter that Amazon Echo potentially is, and Amazon is installing this in every household of their Prime members, and basically they will decide which product you will see and which product you won't see, like Facebook is doing with information, Amazon is doing that now with products. That's great if you trust Amazon. I mean, if I order cat food and they say, Steven, you have to buy this cat food, they better make sure it's a good match. Otherwise, I will not use that anymore. And they failed in becoming a trusted gatekeeper. But if they succeed, then digital shelf space becomes so much smaller than physical shelf space. And for retailers and consumer good companies, the way they go to market will never be the same. But it will only work if they become trusted gatekeepers. And this is a possibility that I see for a lot of non-technology companies to add value, to play with digital, but add that human and local aspect to it. Because technology companies will not be able to do that. They will be human-like, they will pretend to be human, and they will pretend to be local thanks to data. And they will do a good job in that. But it won't be the same as the real human and the real local stuff. Now, I want to end with this. We agreed upon the idea that time is the scarcest resource that people have. So I'm strongly convinced that companies should invest more in time management of their customers. And we can save time of customers. We talked a lot about that. But you can also enhance time of customers. Look at companies like Disney or Michelin-star restaurants or fancy hotels. They don't want to save time. They want to enhance your time. They want you to have a good time. And technology companies, they're really good in saving out time. And what you're starting to see is that some try to combine that. Like Netflix is both saving out time. I don't know about you, but my favorite Netflix interface is the skip intro button. I love the skip intro button. Every time I push that, I have the feeling like I'm saving out 7 seconds of my day. It feels so good. And then I spend 3 hours with them, binge watching. So they're good in both. I'm saving time and I'm enhancing time. Companies like Disney, they invented the magic bands in Disney World to make life easier, and people can save out time at stuff that they want to save out time. In hotels, the check-in becomes more and more convenient because that's not the enhancement moment. That's just the thing that you have to go through before the enhancement starts. So you see how they are investing in saving time and getting to that top right quadrant. Companies like McDonald's and Dominos that I talked about didn't do any of those two until recently when they started to invest in saving out time, and you saw how it paid off. The truth is that most companies aren't saving time of customers and aren't enhancing time of customers. They're just selling stuff. And I think that is an extremely dangerous position to be in. So I try to recommend companies to play with this and see how you can use the element of time both to save time, enhance time, and use that combination actually to create a fantastic customer experience that is ready for that day after tomorrow. And I hope that is what I can help you a little bit with. To get your company or your ideas ready for the day after tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more of me, feel free to go to Instagram. I share a lot of content there. And I hope this was a good continuation of your conference. Thank you very much.